To round out the day here at Macau for the car side of the timetable, we have the cars on the grid for the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup. There is, of course, the motorbike Grand Prix to come, but to round out the four-wheel side of the day, wallow in the sights and sounds of GT3 machinery making their way to the grid. And not only are these ground-shaking cars, but also we've got some of the real stars of international GT racing from around the world coming back to the gear circuit, including there the man that's on pole position, a man that's won the Formula 3 Grand Prix twice, a man that's won the GT Cup 4 times. It's Eduardo Mortara, who saved a set of tyres going into qualifying 2 yesterday, and it put him on pole position, lining up third on the grid. Raffaele Marciello, one of the real stars for Mercedes, this year's Spa 24 Hours winner, the ADAC GT Masters in Germany champion, the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS Endurance Cup champion. There's Mauro Engel lining up on the outside of the front row of the grid as well, and Alexandre Imperatori, who will start 4th in the Toro Racing Porsche. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic 8-lap dash when we get started. It'll be from a rolling start, of course. David Addison and Alan Hyde looking forward hugely to this, because not only do the cars look fantastic, not only do they have star drivers behind the wheel, but perhaps most importantly of all, Alan, these cars make a proper noise.
Thank you. We couldn't have day 3 without the little nod to the noise of these cars, and you're absolutely right. It is a symphony of glorious engine sounds, and a huge support from the various different manufacturers, and the very welcome return of international stars of GT racing here to Macau. And they haven't let us down. It has been almost a textbook way of getting around the gear circuit. Yesterday during qualifying, it was just a splendid spectacle to enjoy, because they were within inches of the wall, inches of the barrier, but no breaks in the action around the gear circuit. And that is testimony to just how good these drivers are. Mauro Engel getting himself ready to step into the number 77 Mercedes AMG. But it was Mr. Macau, Eduardo Mortara. He's won the Macau Grand Prix, so he's won in single-seaters. He has won multiple times in GT machinery, but yesterday he was absolutely on fire.
He was indeed, and the Galaxy Entertainment dignitaries and the grid girls are at the front, ready to be part of the photographs for what promises to be a really dramatic 8-lap dash. It doesn't seem long enough by any stretch, does it? Just 8 laps for GT cars. They do, of course, get a longer race tomorrow, but it's a rarity, other than at Macau, really, and the motorsport games, these single driver races.
It was interesting to hear the press conference after qualifying yesterday, because Mauro Engel was saying, had the session not been shortened by 5 minutes, he thought he was on for pole position, because it was a slightly shortened 20-minute session for the last few qualifying sessions yesterday. There were a number of stoppages in some of the other qualifying sessions, so therefore 5 minutes was shaved off, and they had a plan, and that plan was not able to come to fruition.
And it also got derailed, didn't it, by the fact that he was also dispatched to Weybridge. So
that's right.
A little bit of time lost there, which they haven't factored in. It doesn't always happen, but it can happen. You have to be braced for it. So there the number boards, you're looking at the back of them, but they have brought the cars into line. It's a hugely busy grid, isn't it? Just about everybody who's here, I think, is on the grid. I was
wondering why we're not getting our usual shots of each of the cars as we make our way down the grid. That's your answer. There isn't room for a camera crew. Very busy indeed. And for many, this GT element of the Macau Grand Prix Festival of Motorsport is fast becoming a bit of a favourite of the weekend, and a lot of that is down to the fact that it attracts star drivers that really show us how to do it.
Well, the Toro Racing team running different cars. It's got Mercedes and Porsche, which actually line up side by side on the second row of the grid. Raffaele Marciello in the Mercedes AMG and Alexandre Imperatori in the Porsche. So again, 2 stars of the GT world. And go back a couple of rows, Darrell O'Young, who's had 2 wins within the GT Cup, winner last year despite a big accident in the equivalent race, but the car was rebuilt. Racer and also a director of Craft Bamboo Racing, along with Frank New, himself a former GT4 racer. So the 5-minute board now shown. The countdown gets underway, and of course it's going to be a rolling start. And again, this is a race where the results of this race determine the grid going into tomorrow's race. So you've got to keep out of strife here and finish as well as you can to be as far up the grid as you can.
It'll be a roaring start, that's for sure,
yeah.
with the wonderful cars. We are going to get a chance to see them up close, because pole position was claimed yesterday in fine style by, well, I described him yesterday as a rock star in Macau. When he turns up, everyone wants a photograph with Eduardo Mortara, and everyone wants an autograph, a moment of his time, a real star of Macau. Alongside is the Mercedes AMG number 77 of Maro Engel. We've spoken about him quite a lot over the last couple of days, about what an incredible driver he is, but also what a very personable man he is to chat to as well. Yeah. Really nice guy is Maro.
Years spent racing V8 supercars in Australia. As a Mercedes driver, he was given to the Erebus team, Betty Klemenko's team, and he's the most Australian-sounding German you will find. Raffaele Marciello, that most laid-back of Italians. Every time you see him, the hair's a different colour. Another tattoo has arrived, but put him behind the wheel of a race car, and he can certainly deliver, that is for certain. Alexandre Imperatori will drive that Porsche, the Swiss driver based in Hong Kong these days, and perhaps flies under the radar a little bit in international GT terms, but he shouldn't really, because Alex Imperatori is a very rapid driver indeed. Now, Alan, your favourite car?
It is. It's the Hello Kitty car, the multicoloured car that will have lots of support from young race fans, and the overalls with Hello Kitty on as well. Just getting the tape in place that holds in the audio connection.
That was Adderley Fong's Audi, and this is Frankie Cheng's
Oh,
Audi.
yeah, I talked about Hello Kitty, didn't say who's driving it.
Details. Details, Hyde. It's been a long day. That was Alan Hyde who died today. Frankie Cheng about to get on board number 1. Of course, another driver that started off in single-seater racing, made a good name for himself over in this region in GT cars. And Frankie Cheng ahead on the grid of this man, Darrell O'Young, winner of the equivalent race last season. And the Canadian-born, Hong Kong-based businessman racer, very rapid indeed, and expect him to make a little bit of progress from where he starts on the grid.
Just getting himself ready. On goes the helmet for the race winner from last year, and next back, a Lamborghini Huracan. We've seen a GTC Huracan win a race today. Earlier on, we've got 2 GT races over the course of a weekend. This one is Lin Kang.
And that is David Chen, who drives the sole Ferrari on the grid. David Chen, who has raced in the Ferrari Challenge, but also very rapid within Asian Le Mans Series, in the GT Masters in Asia, and in the Circuit Hero Championship. He's driven in the Audi R8 Cup as well, so another experienced driver. And so too, number 66, a Porsche specialist these days, Min Heng, who again been racing in Carrera Cup Asia this year, but began in single-seaters.
And further down on the grid, Chang Chien Shang in the car number 88, Mercedes AMG. On goes the helmet, the hands device attached. Pulls it on. It's the head and neck protection system that's a part of everyone's kit for racing these days, alongside the number 28 car, and that's the car of Tao Chi, the Phantom Pro Racing Audi.
It's interesting, isn't it, that the cars have only really been on the grid for, I suppose, 3 or 4 minutes to enable the drivers to get out, but where they have had that opportunity, most drivers out of the car, helmet off, hands device off, and then have to go through it all over again 2 or 3 minutes later to get back into the car, whereas perhaps some of the AMs starting further back on the grid don't want to go through that rigmarole again, and they're happy to stay on board the car. You've just seen getting ready Chong Chi Hu, and there is Rihu Hua ready to go in the number 5 Audi. That was a car in strife early in the weekend, the YC Racing entry.
A couple of times we saw problems for the number 5 car. Qualifies on the penultimate row. And Andy Cheng, not yet in the car for number 33. Beautiful colour scheme on that car. Mercedes AMG.
An ART, a familiar name, but this ART is Andy Racing Team, which is his squad. So there to complete the grid, number 6, the car that missed Q2 yesterday, in fact, Kelvin Leung, or Leung Yan Veng, but Kelvin Leung is his westernised name. He's won the road sport race in the past, but the sometime touring car turned GT racer, who runs his own team, the Sonvang Racing Team, in the BMW M6, Kelvin Leung will start at the back of the grid. 2015 it was that he won the road sport race, for example. So a reminder of the grid: Edo Mortara and Mauro Engel on the front row from Raffaele Marciello, and alongside him Alex Imperatori. The third row is Adderley Fong and Frankie Cheng. Adderley Fong is in the Hello Kitty car, in case you didn't pick that up earlier. The fourth row is Darrell Young and Ling Kang, ahead of David Chen and Min Hang alongside. Then lining up on the sixth row of the grid, aboard number 88 Mercedes, it is Chan Chen Shan, and alongside him there is Tao Chi. Then you have got the number 23 Lamborghini of Luigi Ren and number 5 Audi of Airai Hua. Then Andy Zheng and Calvin Leung round out a 16-strong but quality grid for the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup Race 1.
Oh, they have been great to watch this weekend so far, and we have had a day of free practice, we've had a day of qualifying, and now we get to see them do what they do best, and that is to race. Multiple manufacturers, strong grid this, strong in machinery, strong in drivers as well, and with multiple personalities down there on the grid. They are encouraged to go through 2 gaps in the wall, in the pit wall, to get all of the team kits, the tyre trolleys, make their way through the hole in the wall. And the final countdown now, the moment when just a member of the team is left next to the car, and a few of the officials, the last few photographers, getting the chance to capture this glorious grid of cars. 3 minutes until the start of the warm-up. Pole position for Mr. Macau, Eddie Mortara.
Right, let us do something we've not done all day, and that is to play Pick a Winner, because with this entry, it's probably quite tough so to do, isn't it? Who's your money on?
Almost impossible, so I'm not going to go for maybe the instantly obvious of Mortara on pole position. Things can happen at Macau. I'm going to go for Mauro Engel.
See, I was going to say Engel as well, but that probably means that it's going to be Raffaele Marciello to win it. We shall find out.
A win for Imperatori and Porsche.
Absolutely. Yeah, or Kelvin Leung.
There are so many that could.
Absolutely. I mean, it is, as I say, a small entry numerically, but actually it's probably the right size for this circuit, and the quality at the front over those first 4 rows is very impressive indeed.
I was just impressed yesterday when in a public press conference, Mauro Engel had the confidence to say, I could have been on pole, after we saw Eduardo Mortara going so brilliantly during qualifying. Yet despite that, Engel was still able to say, yep, I could have been on pole.
One of the elements we've been discussing over the weekend is the fact that these cars are running on a Michelin tyre, whereas in the majority of GT championships, which are run by SRO, for example, they're on a Pirelli tyre. The Michelin tyre works rather differently. The way that the tyre is constructed, you can do different things to make it work. And actually, in simple terms, it gives you a greater window of setup on the Michelin tyre than it does against the Pirelli. So setup becomes a little bit... not easier, perhaps, but there are more options.
The start is going to be glorious, isn't it? Engel
and we're almost
Mortara on the front row of the grid. Imperatori and Raffaele Marciello on the second row of the grid. And what a great sight that is. The Hello Kitty car just behind. Adderley Fong alongside Frankie Cheng in the Audi, car number 1.
And that back row of the grid of Andy Zheng and Kelvin Leung. Keep an eye, of course, to Darrell Young in number 55 Mercedes. Ling Kang, another driver that came to Europe to race in Formula 3 a good few seasons ago. He was part of the Macau Motorsport Good Seiler Fiorenzansig team from memory. Right, the track is clear of personnel. That means that the cars now are released onto the formation lap then for this Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup.
Well, one is.
Yes, I think Otara was a bit previous there because he's gone without a green flag being shown. The leading car has gone, but only now the green flag. And the race director says, no, don't go. Oh, dear. So engines off. So ordinarily, you don't go until the green flag is waved.
No.
Edo Mortara went with the leading car. And the race director then comes to the track and explains to Maro Engel what he wants them to do. But I suspect this is about to be a delayed start.
I think you're right. Doors are opening.
Yeah, and we may end up with a lap reduction here, depending on what the plan is next. Because they might have to bring them round to the grid again.
We have been saying all day, anything can happen at Macau. And this is a slightly unusual situation.
I'm surprised, actually, that Eduardo Mortara has slightly dropped the ball there. When he went, because we couldn't see where the safety car was, the leading car, I'd rather assume that he'd been given the flag, but clearly not. Amaro Engel and the others were waiting for it.
He'd have nice warm tyres.
So now there's a word from the race director to Raffaele Marciello about what he wants them to do. Drivers being told, I think, to turn engines off. So they're going to have to wait for Mortara to come back, and then they'll decide what to do with him. But if the race director feels that he has contravened a regulation by doing that, that pole position might not be his.
What do you think? Starting from the rear of the grid?
Potentially.
Yeah. We shall see.
You can't do it for a full start, necessarily, because the race hasn't started. But we'll wait and see what the officials elect to do.
Drama at Macau. Maro Engel in the Mercedes, alone on the front row of the grid.
I'm interested, though, that they didn't just wave the rest away and let them catch up, that they felt it necessary to go through this process.
It was pretty immediate, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we shall get the car of Edo Mortara back to the grid. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Let me have another look at the regulations. Why don't you elucidate about Hello Kitty for a minute?
Well, you can see the logo there. Really good timing. And yes, it is good because one of the features of a Macau Grand Prix weekend is the thought that goes into the liveries and designs of the cars for the Macau Grand Prix. It's a one-off event. It's a unique event, and the manufacturers certainly and the teams get together and come up with what colour scheme and design the cars are going to be showcasing on the world stage for this weekend. It was always quite an interesting reveal on the run-up towards the Macau Grand Prix weekend, what the cars are going to look like when they arrive and set up in the paddock and the garages. So the whole field, bar one, remain down on the grid. Eduardo Mortara, pole position yesterday, spectacular to watch. Eduardo Mortara, inch perfect around the gear circuit here at Macau. And then this unusual situation.
Mortara must start from the pit lane.
Wow.
So Eduardo Mortara is being told he's got to start from the pit lane. You can't go until the lights go green, until the green flag is shown. He did not wait. He went when he shouldn't. He therefore was anticipatory in the way that he left the line, and the penalty is car 10 start to the pit.
Wow. About 10 minutes ago, you said to me, who do you think might win this race? And I said Maro Engel, because anything can happen at Macau.
Yes.
It just did.
It just did. And Mr. Macau, the rock star, is the one that sort of tripped over his feet in this.
Wow.
And as I said a moment ago, I'm surprised that somebody like that has made that slight error. Seems an innocuous one, but a regulation was breached.
Now, seemingly that car needs to start from pit lane, according to the regulations.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it is following the safety car through the field to line up back on pole position.
Yeah. Now, that message has gone from the timing screen now. It was there. It's now gone. So maybe the team are arguing about it. Let's find out. But the safety car or the leading car, to give it its correct title at the moment, will make its way to the front, which is where it should be. But Eduardo Mortara is being held by the team. And now on the radio, well, one engineer stops the car, another one pushes him out of the way. And now they get a bit grumpy with one another.
Yes, they do. Yeah.
And now, look, the car's being shepherded off the grid. The marshal there behind wants it off the grid. We might be able to eavesdrop here. A wide-eyed Mortara saying, well, why? Why not stop? What have I done wrong?
Right, now, confirmation, thank you to the press room for giving us this extra information from the timing screen in the press room. Car number 10, start from the pits. Exactly what you said from the regulation. Car number 10 has to start from the pits. That being explained to the team. Now, how are we going to do this? Because he didn't pull off into pit lane entry. Mortara has already done one formation lap that everyone else hasn't done.
Well, there's a conversation going on, as you can see at the front, between the race director and the team. I'm trying to pick up what I can from the camera noise, but you're right.
It's proving tricky, isn't it?
Yeah. They can't get the car through that gap, can they? There's the race director.
So this is an element of confusion as to exactly what we're going to do to get the Audi into pit lane.
One of the things, and I go into this sentence, and I know I shouldn't, not knowing totally how to get out of it, but there are some regulations that are absolutely unarguable against. They are put there by a judge of fact, and once that penalty is applied, you can't argue.
Yeah.
Like a track limits penalty, for example.
Yeah.
There are some that you can argue with, and therefore, if you like, race under appeal. Now, I don't know whether, I confess, this is something that they can appeal against, and therefore start from the front, goes to the stewards. If the stewards say, no, you shouldn't have started from the pit lane, then okay, a penalty is applied post-race. But I think they're getting him off the grid. I don't think this is one that you can argue with, and the race director is adamant, you are coming off the grid and you're going into the pit lane.
The one thing we don't know, and it will remain until we can hear from Eduardo, why that happened, because he has a huge amount of experience. 1 minute, I think we're finding out.
Yeah, I don't think he thinks he's done anything wrong. That's why he did it, because he doesn't think he's done anything wrong.
It's exactly that.
Yeah, he saw the leading car leave the line, and he went with it.
Yeah.
But normally, as I say, the leading car goes, and then the green flag is waved later. What that does is give you 15, 20 seconds worth of clear track space to accelerate, again, to get warmth into tyres and brakes. If you go with the leading car, you don't get that. That is why that you go with the flag has been put into place, but Eduardo Mortara did not do that, and so now, on the basis that they can't get the car off the grid, they're going to stop him from moving and let everybody go by. I would
everyone else goes past.
Yeah, and then either he's allowed to start at the back or has to go to the pit lane. And there, Raffaele Marciello is about to be told that car in front isn't going to move.
Have we been told that the race distance is the same length?
It's not been changed, and arguably it shouldn't change because they've not yet done the warming up.
No, they haven't done it.
It's not a. It's a kind of delayed start.
But one car has. So
yes.
Mortara has.
But all that temperature will have gone now.
Yes. And hopefully they haven't fueled the car absolutely perfectly for the race length. Wow. Unusual.
Yeah.
Very unusual circumstance here.
So out of Formula E, this season, Eduardo Mortara is now going to be allowed away, and he'll have to start at the back of the grid. Well, this makes it tasty, doesn't it?
Just a bit. We have just seen a remarkable comeback drive in our first race of the weekend for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix cars. Andy Chow started on pole position. Clearly, today, there is something not so good about starting on pole.
Yeah. So, Eduardo Mortara, on a scale of 1 to bouncing off the limiter livid, how do you feel going into this first race of the weekend?
Goodness me.
Well, this also gives Raffaele Marciello a chance, doesn't it? Because there's an absolutely massive gaping gap ahead of him on the grid that he can sling that Mercedes AMG into on the run towards Reservoir.
Yeah, that's a bit of a gift, isn't it? Empty space in front, so watch Marciello at the start. Well, we'll say expect the unexpected at Macau around the gear circuit, and already we have been given that with the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup, and they have not yet done a racing lap. They are doing their formation lap, one that Eduardo Mortara from pole has already completed. Now that is a unique situation. So Mara Engel will start from the front row all on his own in the Mercedes AMG. Race is going to be reduced.
Yeah, okay. I think that's as much to do with time, actually, Alan, rather than anything to do with fuel. Normally, the reason for the reduction is because with every formation lap, it's taking fuel out of the tank. You have to reduce by 1 for the race. But for this, I think it's all to do with the light, especially given so although we're talking about this being the end of the day, it is only as far as car racing is concerned. The motorbike race yet to happen. Right, so the cars come.
You ever seen anything like that? You do a lot of GT racing around the world.
No, I haven't, actually. And I think part of it is that Eduardo Mortara has come from a championship in which he spent the last few seasons single driver and doing standing starts. And, you know, this is something that's crept into GT racing over the last few seasons. And if he has done any GT racing, he's been a driver getting into a car for the second or the third stint, not necessarily doing the start of the race, and it's just tripped him up.
I will be very intrigued when we hear from Eduardo Mortara in the press conference as part of the 3 drivers on the podium.
He's going to be third, is he? Third from 16th on the grid. Whoa, righto. He's got sharp elbows then, has Eduardo Mortara, if that's going to happen. But no, it will be fascinating. Nikki Kemp, who looks after the press conferences, will have to use all of her charm, I think, to get a good answer
yes,
out of
right.
Edo for that. Good
you're
luck,
right.
Nikki. Right, here they come then. So the Galaxy Entertainment, underlined in red ink, Entertainment now, GT Cup is about to get underway. We've been saying all weekend, these are great cars. We've been saying what a good grid it was. And now with the fastest qualifier starting at the back, it has just become even more intriguing, has it not? Down they come towards Fisherman's, and with the lights on, and you can see the steam coming out of the crash helmet of Eduardo Mortara. He is going to be a man on a mission. So we'll keep an eye on his progress, but also for the race lead then, Maro Engel is going to be on what he might now deem the wrong side of the grid, the outside, but Raffaele Marciello can't get up alongside him. He's got to hold station, but he does have clear air ahead of him. So, who has got the heavier right foot, Engel or Marciello? Both are Mercedes factory drivers. They come up towards the timing line. The lights are about to change. It's going to be 7 laps then to get the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup race 1 underway. There's contact straight away as Imperatori goes between the Mercedes. He comes to the outside line. There's drama in the background. Darrell Young is involved. There's mayhem into the first corner. Adeli Fong is involved in all of that as well. There's going to be a stoppage. And so as Eduardo Mortara gets himself through the debris, we've lost Min Heng, we've lost Darrell Young, we've lost, I think, Frankie Cheng's out facing the wrong way, and Adeli Fong in the barrier.
What was it I said about them giving a textbook example of how to get around the Macau gear circuit without problems?
Red flag, as predicted.
Yeah, it was always going to be, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the race is being stopped, and you can see why, with 4 smashed cars, and for the second year in a row, Darrell Young is involved in a big accident in the qualifying race, so the race is suspended. I would offer you that they'll be brought into the pit lane, and when the road is clear, they'll restart behind the safety car from the pits in the same order, rather than restart the race as it was.
So, I don't know if we'll get a chance to have a look back at the start of the race. Imperatori was quick off the line, and this was the first thing that happened, if you like. There was contact there, wasn't there?
Yeah, but it was Adeli Fong going for a gap between Darrell Young and Min Heng. That was the pinch point. So he got involved, spat Heng around, Then Frankie Cheng's Audi goes around. Darrell Young into the barrier. Adley Fong into the barrier. The barrier is damaged. There are 4 cars badly damaged. But yeah, I'm afraid, wag the finger at Adley Fong for going for a gap that wasn't Audi-sized. But and those are 4 big hits, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And the other always upsetting thing about seeing this sort of thing, that's very expensive. They are incredible machines, expensive machines, and a lot of damage.
They're expensive. There is a lot of damage, you're right. And as I think you made the point during one of the free practice sessions, everybody has got at least one trip across some water to get here. Yeah. There's a limit on how many spare parts you can bring. And in those cases, you're almost looking at complete rebuilds. Yeah. You're not allowed a spare car, so you have to bring as many parts as you think you're going to need. And there it is from another angle, and that camera may not have survived. Ooh, that's a massive hit.
So what happens when you slow down, when you go into the slow motion, you can see very clearly what's going on, but you don't really get the notion of the speed at which they're hitting. And quite a few were involved in that contact, albeit light contact towards the rest of the field. But okay, this is unusual, isn't it?
Well, we've had GT accidents here before. Just ask Lawrence Vanthor as an example.
Oh, yes.
The cars then will come into the pits.
He won that race.
He did, courtesy of a red flag. The race will resume from the pit lane. So when they get going, it will be behind the safety car and will carry on. So the race is not stopped, it is suspended. And that is why they're going to the pit lane, and we'll start from there rather than re-grid. We don't stop the race and restart it, we suspend it. So it's the equivalent of a safety car process, but rather than going round and round and round and round and round, you suspend the race whilst just about everybody that's available comes and sweeps and clears up the wreck. So Frankie Cheng's Audi is the one facing the wrong way. Adley Fong's Audi is the one in the wall. The Porsche, which I think has probably copped the most damage, is that of Min Heng, and Darrell Young's Mercedes is also in a pretty sorry state. Mara Wengel leads, by the way.
Yes. The cars in pit lane. Oh, look, you can see the damage to the Porsche of Imperatori.
So every available flatbed arrives, and the motorbike entry, who are preparing themselves for their race, have just put a different album on the iPod as they wait a little bit longer for track activity. But Mara Wengel, I think, might well be getting free of the car if he can. This might be quite a long way, let's see.
Yeah, it might take a little while. And opportunity for Eduardo Matara to reflect on what has gone on over the course of the last 15 minutes or thereabouts.
Well, he's got himself well up the order. I would offer that he's in the top 6 pretty much because of that. Because maybe just on the fringes. The incident was taking place up the road ahead. What, 6th or 7th? But yes, drivers are out of the cars. There's Raffaele Marciello, who thinks, oh, here we go. Just to have a look at any damage to the side of the Mercedes, because there was that brush with Imperatori there, his teammate. But then in the background, look, Min Heng sort of moves across. Adley Fong was in the middle, maybe being a bit unfair pointing the finger at Adley Fong, because I think he was where he was anyway. It was the Porsche moving across that kind of triggered the pincer, didn't it?
And the Lamborghini had moved up, hadn't it?
Yeah. That's a huge hit, though. Look at the way that the barrier moves back.
Yeah.
His hit. So.
He was in front of me already.
So the drivers now discussing who was where. I don't think Raffaele Marciello is overly thrilled at Imperatori's start.
No.
But the contact there is only the catalyst. The damage comes from that concrete. That's where all the damage is done, as all 4 plough into the wall at different angles. And I think the Min Heng Porsche is the one that's copped the most damage, hasn't it?
I think you're right.
Ara Wengel's just been watching that on the big screen, thinking, oh, God, it was clear of all of that.
He didn't see any of it, did he, in real life? No. All happening behind. So they have this big screen down at exit end of pit lane, and and the drivers do get the opportunity to review what has just gone on. So, with the race suspended and the marshals and the circuit staff working hard to recover multiple GT cars and dress large amounts of fluid that have been dropped and clear up debris as well.
And also check drivers, because all of them in an impact like that will need a quick trip to the medical centre to make sure they're all okay. Very much yellow though.
Looks quite animated,
well, absolutely,
doesn't it?
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be too disgruntled with life.
No.
Mario Engel waiting to find out, do I need to get back in the car? How long? So, preparing himself again. Craft Bamboo Racing entry. The sister car, that of Darrell Young, is one of those broken four. And that's about to be lifted out of the way.
We have plenty of lifting flatbeds here at Macau, which is very useful. Another look. Lamborghini gets a good start. Quick off the line.
It was Min Heng, wasn't it, in the Porsche?
Yeah,
he came from the outside across on Adley Fong. Apologies, Adley. And Min Heng, by moving across, touched the Audi, which had nowhere to go, and then cars just spat left and right.
It's a spectacular angle, that, but I don't like it.
It's a good job it's a locked off camera.
It is, yeah.
But that's a wrecked Porsche, no doubt about it.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
So, no shortage of marshals for Macau Grand Prix week, and that is the man that yesterday thrilled in qualifying, put the Audi on pole position, and now as the team tighten down the straps for Eduardo Mortara. Interesting that Eduardo has not got out of the car. He has remained in the car with helmet on.
Yeah, we're about 10 minutes away from the resumption, incidentally. So that's why drivers are getting back in, ready to go. So it was 7 laps anyway. They've effectively done 1, although that's not actually come up on the timing screen. But
no.
They have effectively done a lap. It's going to be another lap behind the safety car, at least one behind the safety car.
So they went past the beam in pit lane, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they have completed one lap.
Yeah. But it may be that because a red flag had been shown, that hasn't been through the system as such, but it might be given to them when they break the beam at pit out.
Yeah.
It depends in a sense which way of doing it the system of the timekeepers operates.
So, a little bit of a delay. Just gone 3:30 here on Saturday at Macau. It's the first of our race days. Tomorrow we look forward to Grand Prix Day. The final race of the afternoon will be a 12-lap race for the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix. Charles Leung today, winner of the last 2 Macau Grand Prix, didn't win in the inverted commas qualification race, came second. So we have plenty to look forward to for tomorrow's Formula 4 race. And of course we have longer races for all of our categories of racing tomorrow. Local time, 8 o'clock in the morning is when racing gets underway for the SJM Macau Road Sport Challenge. The Melco Greater Bay Area GT Cup, 12 laps at 9:15. The MGM Macau Touring Car Cup and China Touring Car Championship. Today's race won by Rob Huff, added to the tally of wins around the gear circuit at Macau. And then at 11:55, a 9-lap race for the second race and the gear race for the Win Macau Gear Race and TCR Asia Challenge. These cars, the GT3 cars, as we have another look back at the start of the race, will race at around about 1:05, and then it's all about the build-up to the Sands China Formula 4 Macau Grand Prix here tomorrow. So another look at what was a very bruising start for our GT3 race. Never like to see these cars getting damaged.
And I rather fear that some we will not see tomorrow.
I fear the same.
Yeah, that Porsche particularly.
Yeah.
looks decidedly broken to me. And last year, Darrell Young's Craft Bamboo Racing team worked wonders to get the car out for race 2.
Yeah, we were pretty sure that wouldn't be out, weren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it was airborne, wasn't it? It bounced off the barrier at one stage on the run to Lisboa. But there you can see it gets one hit. The Porsche gets turned around. I mean, that's not too serious, but it's the next bit, because, of course, when the accident starts, they're all accelerating. And so all get carried towards the concrete. In goes the Porsche, in goes the Mercedes, in goes the Audi, and Frankie Cheng, and then the other Audi of Adam Fong nearest to us. So, yeah, big hits all round. And then as the Porsche of Min Heng comes across the road narrows, and that's why one or two pick up some...
Mortara gets a bump as well.
Yeah, pick up some residual damage as they go through.
I hadn't seen that before, but Mortara just got a tap to the right front of the car, didn't he?
He did, but excellent work by the officials. Has got the road just about clear.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. I hate to mention the fact that they're soaking up some liquid because of what happened for the first motorbike race. But they're soaking up some liquid. And the car's now off the circuit. However, there are now some laps that can be dissipated by the cars.
I did say that we're never short of marshals when required at the Macau Grand Prix. There's probably 20 of them down there dressing the fluid on circuit, which inevitably will be dropped. That's Darrell Young's rather beaten up car. I know.
Just going back to the liquid, I would offer you that the bulk of that's going to be Porsche water rather than oil, because as we know, the radiator is at the front, and so a lot of that will disappear quite quickly. I would have been optimistic about for the motorbike teams.
They are vulnerable, aren't they? The radiators on the front corners of the car. Looking at Chan Wei-An's car, the Harmony Racing Ferrari.
That used to be an Audi.
Yeah, it did.
It's now an R7 because there's not much of that right rear corner of Frankie Cheng's car left. So the race director is optimistic that we can get things back up and running within the next 3 minutes.
Amazing.
It might be pretty close to that.
Amazing.
So we were down to 7 laps, as we say. We've effectively done 1, and the cars are going to be released behind the safety car again, ready to resume the race. But the biggest disappointment not only is the effect it's made to the flow of the race, but the damage and therefore the potential loss of cars for tomorrow.
Which is so sad and disappointing.
Yeah.
Not just for the drivers and for the teams, but for all of us as well, because we like to watch them, we like to hear them.
Exactly right. Darrell Young particularly is such a staunch supporter of this event that it's, again, potentially a real shame if he's not going to be on the grid. So engines are firing up, and 15:40 now.
That's a couple of minutes away.
Yeah.
Which is good news.
Not far off.
So they will leave pit lane and racing will resume. Maro Engel, the 77 car that started from second place, but all on his own on the front row of the grid after a very unique and unusual situation. But the pole position car, Eduardo Mortara, went off on the formation lap. The rest of the field remained where they were. So a formation lap was completed by the Audi on its own, just with the safety car. Retook its place on pole position on the grid, and then was informed, no, I'm afraid not. You'll have to hold back when they go off on the green flag lap and start from the back of the grid, which gives us a quite tantalising racing prospect. Once again, we have a look at the start of the race.
Frankie Cheng is the completely innocent one in that, because people have already made contact before they make contact with him. He gets collected because they're all out of control. And actually, I think his car is one of those that suffers the worst damage by going in backwards. But that Porsche of Min Heng just absolutely wrecked.
Such a shame. And then, rather than concentrate on the cars on the right-hand side, everyone else threading through and trying to avoid the debris. This is a lucky escape as well, as the bodywork just flies up back to the right-hand side of the track rather than the left, which could have caused more problems.
So the safety car, that's been pretty busy today, is about to lead them back out.
Yeah, you know the job, don't you, when you come into the Macau Grand Prix week. If you are a safety car driver or safety car observer, you are well aware that you need to be prepared to do quite a few laps.
Yeah. Good news is you will do a lot of laps. You've got a really nice car to do it. Bad news, no lunch. You're going to be busy.
Yep, you're right.
So that's Mauro Engel at the head of the queue, and the lights in a moment will blink green to release everybody back out on circuit. We're about 3 or 4 seconds away, I think.
One Ferrari we have.
Car's getting it back out.
David Chen in the sole Ferrari.
And green flag.
So off they go. Back out onto the theatre of play for the resumption of the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup. And all the hard work of getting tyres up to temperature again is back underway. And so, is there opportunity to, well, you posed the question, who's going to win? Do you want to stick or twist?
What, can Mortara win it? No. I'm still going Mercedes.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be an angle now because we don't have a side-by-side rolling start. We have a safety car start. So that means that there isn't the opportunity for Raffaele Marciello to do what he tried to do on the first start.
So, Engel for the win, Mortara for the podium. Less cars to get past now for Mortara, so that is possible. And I, for one, am very much looking forward to hearing from Eduardo Mortara, because there is a reason. There is a reason I'm perhaps not aware of as to why that muddle from pole position happened.
What's also slightly concerning me is that first lap has not been credited. Now, the race was not stopped, it was suspended, so the lap should count. But anyway, it hasn't on our timing screen.
No.
It might be that that's being discussed at the moment in race control, as the cars turn their way then up towards, we hope, a racing lap at the end of this.
It's not an easy day in race control, is it?
No.
There's a lot to be dealing with, a lot of referring to regulations for each of the categories as the day goes on. But that's...
So 4 cars we have lost: Adley Fong, Frankie Cheng, Darryl O'Young and Min Heng, who actually made a pretty good start, but little good did it do him. So this is still being shown as lap 1, but I would argue that we've done 1 lap. Up through Donna Maria they come. The other way to get around that problem with the laps is just to reduce it to 6, because then it balances.
And that may well happen, yeah. That may well happen. So the safety car leads the field around. You see where it says bus stop, where they're turning into the Macau hairpin. That's a bus stop in normal everyday life here at Macau. That is a place that you pick up the bus and you can negotiate this very tight turn at the Macau hairpin. Mauro Engel weaving the Mercedes AMG heat into the tyres. The black and gold Lamborghini Huracan having had a good start for the first time of asking, just behind, tucked up behind Raffaele Marciello. Marciello close to the back of Engel.
Safety car in this lap, so everybody weaving left to right. Comes then now to get the race back underway. And the Mercedes of Mauro Engel will lead Raffaele Marciello, and then Alex Imperatori in 3rd place then, as the cars come towards our bend for what is left of the race 1 of the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup. We go racing, and it is Mauro Engel then that comes across the line ahead of, in 2nd place, Raffaele Marciello, and then for 3rd they go through is Kang Ling behind them in the Lamborghini.
So Mauro Engel it is that leads in the Mercedes AMG, started on the front row of the grid on his own after Mortara sent to the back of the grid to take the start of the race. And now we are racing for the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup, and the Porsche in 4th place. Alex Imperatori is going to have a look on the outside at Lisboa of the Lamborghini. No way there, so they get round the corner, but Imperatori right on the back of the Lamborghini.
Yeah, that's Ling Kang, and a good defence that, because he knew what Imperatore was going to try to do, move to the inside up San Francisco Hill. He blocked him, but Engel is getting away. But Raffaele Marciello is savvy enough to realise that just sitting there will still put him on the front row for tomorrow's race. So he doesn't necessarily have to try to win this. It's tomorrow's race that's the real one to win. But for third and fourth, they're absolutely nose to tail. Ling Kang with the Porsche crawling all over the back of him. They are about to come into view with the Lamborghini just being ahead when we last saw them. Alex Imperatore crawling all over the back. Hasn't quite been able to get through yet, though.
Imperatore has been really quite exciting to watch over the course of the Macau Grand Prix days so far this weekend. That Porsche has been going really, really well. Just squeezed when they got off the line on the first time of asking. Engel turns through police up towards Moorish Hill. Bit of a gap. Raffaele Marciello, a bit more of a gap. Then we have this battle for the final podium place. There will be a podium after this for the overall top three. Mauro Engel negotiates the left-hander at Donna Maria down towards the Melco hairpin.
With Marciello a little bit sideways, ever so slightly sideways, coming out of Donna Maria. Still third then is Ling Kang, ahead of Alex Imperatore. David Chen is fifth, and sixth is Mortara then. And the race is going to finish to time rather than laps now. So the time allowed for this first race, from memory, was something like 35 minutes, wasn't it? He's come towards us then.
Imperatore trying the older flashing the headlights trick on the Lamborghini. It's not working so far. And Imperatore very keen to get past this Lamborghini because he can see the Mercedes, the two Mercedes, getting ever distant. And Imperatore needs to get past this Lamborghini. Still flashing the lights as a look down on the inside goes back into the slipstream of the Lamborghini.
And he's got to get on with it because we've got effectively 6.5 minutes of the race to go. So although we're on lap 3, we've got 6.5 minutes of the time allowed remaining. Mortara is on his toes to try to get up the inside of David Chen. Dives through on the inside. That is how you do it. And look at Imperatore, not quite able to have a go.
Yeah, that was superb, wasn't it? Just taking the opportunity. Mortara, there was no room to ask for a second time. Absolutely decisive. Slices down the middle. Another place made up.
So that is Ling Kang, who in fairness is defending really nicely. He's got Imperatore.
He's having a really good race.
Yeah, he is. Imperatore crawling all over the back of him, bearing in mind that Ling Kang was only 8th on the grid. The Porsche was 4th, so not a quick car in qualifying, but Ling Kang defending nicely as they drop through the S's, and they're being caught by Mortara to make this 3rd, 4th, 5th situation even more spicy.
Yeah, well, Ling Kang got off the line really well and made up those places off the line, and certainly he's not about to give up this position, is he? Despite all the light flashing that Imperatore can do. And Alex needs to not only concentrate about the back of the Lamborghini, he needs to think about the back of his own Porsche, because we've got the Audi of Mortara, pole position yesterday. A bit of a funny race for Eduardo Mortara today. The three of them head down through the Melco hairpin.
And now the move starts, because this is where the speed builds, this is where the road opens up, and it is from here on in that Imperatore needs to try to plan that move against the Lamborghini. So let's see. He's quick out of Fisherman's, getting closer and closer all the time, down towards our bend. But equally, Imperatore's got to make the move before Mortara challenges him. Look to the inside, no way through there. The Lamborghini, of course, like many a modern GT car, with no rear view mirror inside the car. You've got that little video camera and the TV screen. That's your mirror. Imperatore still flashing the lights. Mortara lagging back, waiting to see what pans out ahead of him. Through they come, nose to tail. Audi goes one side. Now to the outside goes Imperatore. Mortara's not quite close enough to dive up the inside at Mandarin. But what about on the run to Lisboa? Nose to tail now. 3rd, 4th, 5th.
So exciting. Lamborghini, Porsche and Audi, and now Imperatore needs to defend because Mortara looms. He pulls to the outside of the circuit. No, they all slot in behind as they go around Lisboa. This is so interesting. Imperatore trying to attack, trying to defend, and I had a feeling feeling for a moment that Mortara was going to get past both of them all in one go.
Less than 4 minutes to go. Marciello has done the fastest lap of the race and brought the lead gap down to 11/10. Third, fourth, fifth still running together. So now you get the feeling that Mortara is likely to get ahead of the Porsche of Imperatore before the Swiss driver gets past Ling Kang. But let's see, they're going to get effectively one more lap out of it at the end of this, aren't they? As they come then now down through the Solitude S's, heading towards Police. And Mauro Engel being chased by Raffaele Marciello, but this is the frustration for the likes of Imperatore and Mortara, that right now they're at a part of the circuit where overtaking is very, very difficult indeed, especially, Alan, at this very tight sequence from here.
Yeah, this is always a tight one, isn't it? Through Police, through the right-hander at Police. Moorish Hill is next. How often have we clicked over onto that camera and see a car hitting the barrier on the exit of that corner? So far this weekend, we haven't really had too much of that, but there is more time available. And now the Porsche defending, not attacking the Lamborghini, who is there on merit in third place. And they thread their way down from the Melco hairpin. Mortara is going to be one to watch here, and then as they come up towards the completion of the lap, the Porsche is getting more and more urgent. They're going to be side by side. The Lamborghini is absolutely determined. How close was that to the wall?
Mortara's got the golden ticket though now for the inside line, because Imperatore lost traction by being forced onto the marbles on the outside line, and Mortara goes through. So Imperatore tried to attack. He's ended up losing a place. Good defence by Ling Kang, and you could argue that Imperatore was just a little bit over the edge in trying to make the move there, because on the outside line it was always going to be a risk, and the risk bit him.
It was getting more and more urgent, wasn't it, for the Porsche driver, and the advantage was handed to Mortara. Is he going to be, as potentially we wondered, on the third step of the podium? Well, the Lamborghini nut was a tough nut to crack for the Porsche. Is it going to be a little easier for the Audi as they go up towards the right-hander at San Francisco? Up the hill they go onto the very tight and twisty section. Did I just note that the headlights that were flashing have now become Audi headlights? Yeah. But in all of this, Ling Kang is doing a brilliant job. He's in third place on merit.
He's the cork in the bottle to an extent, because he hasn't got the pace, but he's not popped out of the bottle yet. So he's still there. This is the last lap, looking at the clock. So Mortara is running out of options. Heading then through the S's. Still in fifth place then. It is Imperatore in sixth behind him. You've got the Audi of Chen Wei-An. Sorry, the Ferrari, I should say, of David Chen. And as they come then down towards Police, still Ling Kang hangs onto the place, and under braking Mortara closes again, but there's just no width of road for him to pass here.
You can't do it here. These are big cars, GT3 cars, on a very narrow circuit here at Macau. The circuit will open up. What's going to happen as they make their way down from the Melco hairpin? We'll find out now. One thing we haven't been able to bring you up to date with is that in all of this, while we've been watching this fascinating battle for third place, Marciello has put in the fastest lap of the race. 1 second behind the race leader, Mauro Engel, a 2:19.7.
But where are the race leaders relative to the clock? That's the other thing we need to see, because if they can squeeze another lap out of it, it's going to help Mortara. So they're coming down towards Fisherman's, and there are the race leaders. 13 seconds. They might just be able to get through here before the clock hits zero, and that will be a big, big asset to Mortara. 6 seconds, 5. Nope, they're going to get another lap, aren't they? Just. So the last lap board is there. So that is very good news for Mortara, because now we've got another chance to challenge. Audi lines up to the inside, can't do it into Reservoir, but now into the slipstream, down towards Mandarin. There are the race leaders, but it's behind them that the real drama is happening. The Audi then all over the back of Ling Kang. The Lamborghini is potentially going to arrive in view ahead, and it does, but now Mortara goes one side as he heads down towards Lisboa. The Audi to the outside line, the Lamborghini covers off the inside. Mortara, this could be his last chance. Brakes late, he's got to get the undercut, tighten the line and get up alongside out of the corner. Can't do it. Great defence by Ling Kang.
A really good race by the Lamborghini driver in third place. He's got the final position on the podium and has been so determined not to give it up. It's been a fascinating battle, race long. Once it was Porsche and now it's Audi, but still the Lamborghini holds the place. Superb to watch.
And Imperatore dropping into the clutches of David Chen does make you wonder whether the Porsche picked up a little bit of damage in that skirmish with Marciello off the original start. So as the cars now come through, it's going to be checkered flag this time around. But only by 3 or 4 seconds did the leaders squeeze through. So Mortara has not been able to capitalise on what you might call the bonus lap. He's still there behind the Lamborghini as they wriggle their way again down towards police.
And the Lamborghini, the Audi and the Porsche, a bit of a gap before we've got the Porsche now. Through police they go. Quick right-hander and up towards Moorish Hill. Through the right-hander they go. Mortara right on the tail of the Lamborghini, and there are very few, diminishing few more opportunities to take that final podium position for Eduardo Mortara. He had pole yesterday. Look at the gap that the Mercedes have at the front of the field, with the Lamborghini still really defending well in 3rd place and very determined to take up that final non-Mercedes podium position.
Mauro Engel, 2 corners to go. Mauro Engel, 1 corner to go before he takes the checkered flag to win the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup Race 1. It is going to be the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes ahead of the Toro Racing entry. Over the line, Mauro Engel wins race 1 of the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup from Raffaele Marciello. But who is going to be 3rd? It's Kang Ling, then just ahead. So here he comes, Ling Kang up towards the timing line. Great drive that to hang on to 3rd. And Mortara from pole to last to 4th. A great recovery. I know he was helped a little bit by a fair few cars crashing out ahead of him at the very start. But 4th is the get-out-of-jail-free card compared to where he started. 5th, Alex Imperatore, and David Chen takes 6th. We've waited all day for GT3 cars, and they promised drama, they delivered, and some great racing as well.
We won't hear the words of Eduardo Mortara in the press conference, just off the podium positions. Maybe it's just as well. We'll wait another day maybe to hear from Eduardo, Mr. Macau, because that was a rather unusual race for the pole sitter. But a win for Mauro Engel. Oh, we got that right.
Yes. Stroke of luck, isn't it?
Well done us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, just to go back to the Eduardo Mortara aspect, the green flag and the green light had not been displayed, which is the signal to release the cars onto the formation lap. Mortara went when the leading car went, which was in advance of the green lights, green flag. That was the regulation that he breached, and that was why he picked up the infringement, the penalty. So it's there. That's what he did wrong. Whether he knew that was wrong isn't really the answer.
But one of the real stories of that race was a super start off the line from the Phantom Pro Racing Lamborghini Huracan of Ling Kang, and then a really strong defence, race long, under a huge amount of pressure from first of all the Porsche of Alex Imperatore, and then of Eduardo Mortara in the Audi, but he didn't put a wheel wrong.
No, he didn't. And again, it's fascinating to see how drivers develop, because go back, what would we talk about, 8 years, 7 years or so, when Ling Kang came to Europe to race in Formula 3, he really struggled with new circuits, new culture, new team, everything. But here he is in an environment he's more comfortable within, and he's learnt a lot and raced really well. You know, to fend off Imperatore and Mortara, that's a very, very good achievement.
Yeah, I would have mirror signal, got out of the way, let them get on with it. But there was none of that from Ling Kang. No. And the Lamborghini, quite rightfully, will take its place on the 3rd step of the podium. Galaxy Entertainment provided a huge amount of entertainment in that Macau GT Cup race. And guess what? We've got a longer race to look forward to tomorrow, 12 laps.
But whether it will include Adderley Fong and or Frankie Cheng and or Daryl Ouyang and or Min Heng, we'll have to wait and see. But I do fear for a couple of those cars. Frankie Cheng's Audi, Min Heng's Porsche, particularly badly damaged.
So, Mauro Engel victorious in our first race of the weekend. Podium will come up, and the really important race is the Sunday race, but that was a rather unique race. So we'll see Mauro. Yep, he's very happy with that, with the race win. Perfect, really, from the front row of the grid. Marciello less than a second behind, 0.8 of a second behind in third place. And I reckon there's going to be celebrations when the Lamborghini comes to a stop. Third place, Ling Kang. Door open for Mauro Engel. And cool and calm, he was punching the air as he turned into Park Fairmate. Marciello second, Ling Kang third, and they will be weighed down in Park Fairmate, and then in due course let out. There we go, a happy winner and being congratulated by the team. And number one, says Mauro Engel, yes you were.
So Raffaele Marciello taking that second place, Mauro Engel taking the race win, and Ling Kang third. Discussing the relative setup of the two Mercedes. They know the cars inside out, but of course driving for different teams here from their regular squads in European racing.
One of the great things about trying to eavesdrop on racing drivers, you don't always need to after a race. Get it from the body language.
Yeah, true. Big cheers going up in the background, which might be for Ling Kang.
I think they might be.
Mauro Engel's all good. That's Raffaele Marciello. So he's going to the podium with the Toro Racing squad.
Happy Mauro. One race won so far this weekend. On goes the BWT cap. Watch as well, fully dressed for the podium, which is coming up. We'll have a look at a few of the highlights of that race before we have our podium. What a Mauro.
He's no stranger to winning at Macau, is he? In GT cars, so he knows what to do, where to go. And Raffaele Marciello as well for the Toro Racing team being congratulated for second place, and he's very much in contention for the win in the main race tomorrow.
So, unpredictable stories emerge at Macau. Who knew? So many times we have a completely unpredictable series of events. First of all, the pole position for Eduardo Matara and the confusion about going off on the formation lap. Then a multiple and quite heavy accident with many of the cars involved, even if they just got a little scrape avoiding. But many of the cars will suffer the legacy of that. But the win goes the way of the Mercedes AMG Team Craft Bamboo Racing car of Mauro Engel from Raffaele Marciello in the Mercedes AMG of Toro. And third place, a super race for the Lamborghini, the Phantom Pro Racing Lamborghini Huracan of Ling Kang. That's going to be our podium. That's going to be coming up in just a few minutes. But that was a busy race for the first race of the weekend for the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup. There were plenty of stories that emerged, and it started with the pole sitter, Eduardo Matara.
knew it was middleweight. So there the podium awaits, drivers making their way to it. And the trophy girls arrive, the Galaxy girls to the podium. And so for the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup Race 1, the drivers are about to be brought forward, and it will be for third place then the Lamborghini driver, Ling Kang, after a really, really good drive to defend from Alex Imperatori and then from Eduardo Mortara. And lots of applause as the drivers step forward. So there is Ling Kang to take then third place. The second place, Raffaele Marciello, no stranger to podiums, and makes his way to the second step. And then for the top step, race winner, Mauro Engel, a Mercedes AMG 1-2, Lamborghini third. And
now,
then
may I invite Miss
Annie Loy, the Assistant Vice President of Public Relations of Galaxy Entertainment Group. She comes to the podium to hand over the trophy to Ling Kang. There's the garland, then the trophy.
Congratulations.
Trophy aloft for a very happy
May I now
Ling Kang.
invite Mr.
And then
Andrew Loy, Head
Andrew
of Design and
Louis, the Head
Development,
of Design and
Galaxy
Development for the
Entertainment
Galaxy
Group,
Entertainment
to present
Group
the
will
trophy
step
to our
forward and
second
give the
place
trophies
driver and our
to
winner.
both Raffaele
First to
Marciello and Mauro
Rafael
Engel.
Marciello.
There for second place goes the trophy, and then
Congratulations.
Andrew Louis goes to the race
Now
winner,
to our
Mauro
winner,
Engel.
number
Back at
77,
Macau, back on the
Mauro
top step.
Engel.
It's like he's never been away, isn't it? But the two Mercedes AMG drivers lock
Let's
out the
get
top
closer
two
to the
places
middle for a
then
group photo.
in the classification, and they will make their way all onto the top step of the podium now in a group
And
for the
trophies in
photographs.
the air.
They race again tomorrow for the main race at 5 minutes past 1 local time. And
Congratulations
as we've been
again.
saying,
Thank
that
you to our
concludes
trophy
action
presenting
on
guests.
track for the car element of the day. Now, of course, the intention
Job
is to
well
run the
done.
motorbike race at the end of today. The circuit will need to be looked at again, I'm afraid, just as it was before
Thank
the
you
first
to
effort
our
earlier on in the
trophy
day,
presenting
the
guests.
aborted race 1, because after the GT accident, yes, liquid has been put down, but we've also had, what, 4 or 5 racing laps to dissipate any speedy drive that was there. So the race officials will go and inspect the circuit and stay with us, because there'll be more news regarding the motorbike race and hopefully the action very shortly. And the action continues tomorrow at 8 o'clock local time, midnight UK, when the Road Sports Race 2 is due to hit the circuit. But for now, congratulations to Kang Ling, to Raffaele Marciello, and also to Mauro Engel, the top 3 in race 1 of the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup. And they make their way off the podium and can be back on track tomorrow for the longer race, which will decide who takes home the coveted trophy.
Our podium for Macau Greater Bay Area GT Cup GT4 race.
Now the
Third
podium
place driver,
for the
number 96,
earlier
Li Chao.
GT4 race. Remember that we had
Congratulations.
GT4 and GTC racing earlier on in the day.
Second place
and
driver,
so what we now
number
have
33,
is the standalone podium for the GT4 drivers. And so for that, the drivers being brought forward now.
And our winner for the GT4 race, number 79, Lau Kai Lau.
So we have on the podium Li Chao for third place. We have Chris Shear for second. And then Lau Kai Lau for the race win. It is going to be Matthew Ye, the President and CEO of Michelin China, who steps forward to hand over the trophies to all 3 of the drivers. It was a race won outright, remember, by Liang Jiatong, but for the GT4 drivers, they get their own podium, and so back they have all come. So the trophies from Matthew Ye, the President and CEO of Michelin China, there for Chris Shear.
And to our winner for this race, to Lau Kai Lau.
Lau Kai Lau receives
Congratulations.
the winner's trophy.
Let's get closer
second
to the middle
overall,
for group
but
photo.
a class winner. And so the group photograph about to be taken. Everybody together on the top step. And a class win for Lau Kai Lau. And he celebrates honours in GT4 from earlier on in the day. And again, we'll have those cars, GT4 and GTC, back on track tomorrow at around 9:15 local time, 1:15 in the morning in the UK.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations
and thank you,
to
Mr.
the top 3 GT4 drivers. GT racing, very much an integral part these days of the Macau Grand Prix. And whether it's been GTC, GT4 or GT3, they have delivered action all day. One last group photograph taken as the drivers get together with garlands with trophies. And in the middle of that, in the red and grey overalls, is Lau Kai Lau, a very happy race winner. And he can celebrate a class win. But it's the overall result that he's really after. And tomorrow he gets another chance to take on
one more podium.
Yang Jiatong.
And now the podium for Macau Greater Bay Area GT Cup GTC race.
And so now, having had the GT4
Third
podium,
place driver,
it is the
number 6,
GTC podium
Hoi
that we
Wai
have
Tong.
next, as Bosco Hoi comes onto the podium
Congratulations.
for third place.
Second place driver, number 2, Lai Chun Kit Brian.
Out comes Brian Lai for second in class. And then the top step will be to the overall
9,
race winner,
Liang
Jiatong. Once more heads back to the podium.
Congratulations.
So he's been there as an overall winner. Now for the class podium.
May I now invite Mr. Matthew Ye again,
Matthew Ye
President
once more
and
from
CEO
Michelin China,
of
the
Michelin
President
China,
and CEO of
to
Michelin
present the
China.
trophies to our
He strides
winning
across the
drivers.
podium to receive the garland and then pass it on to Bosco Hoi as the
First
third place
to
driver.
Hoi Wai Tong.
And the McLaren driver very happy with the
Congratulations.
outcome, a podium. Then
Now
Brian
for our
Lai, who made that
second
demon
place
start, of course, to gain
Lai
places
Chun
at the
Kit Brian.
beginning of the race. And trophy aloft. And then to
Now to
the
the
outright
winner
race
of
winner,
this
as well as the
race,
class winner, of course, Liang Jiatong,
Jiatong,
in the
number 9.
Lamborghini Huracan. Celebrates a race victory,
Let's get
trophy
closer
aloft.
to the middle for a group
And
photo.
now the drivers will get together for the group photograph. And as I was saying a little while ago, 9:15 tomorrow, all being well, they will be back on track for their second race of the weekend, the longer race, and that's going to determine.
Thank you, Mr. Ye,
the,
and congratulations
victor
to our
of
drivers
the
again.
Melco
Job well
Greater
done.
Bay Area GT Cup that caters for the GT4
That was our podium for the
and
Macau Greater Bay
GTC
Area GT
spec
Cup
cars.
GTC race.
So, podiums completed, car activity on track completed for the day as well. And there's more to look forward to from the four-wheeled classes here at the Gear Circuit tomorrow morning.